Breaking news. Hakeem Jeffries just used a rare House rule to take control of the floor, and what followed was a relentless, no-holds-barred takedown over ICE and DHS shutdown.
Madam Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, the distinguished Democratic leader, Mr. Jeffries.
The gentleman from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also thank my distinguished colleague, the top Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, the Honorable Rosa DeLauro, for yielding and for her tremendous leadership. Madam Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to this Republican budget that prioritizes ICE brutality over the American people. We're now more than 40 days into a Trump Republican shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. Why are we here? Republicans are trying to convince the American people that Democrats should be blamed. Wait a second. Last time I checked, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And you spent the last 15 months trying to lecture the American people that you have some historic mandate. If, in fact, that is the case, when the government shuts down in its entirety or partially, it's because Republicans have decided to shut the government down. And in this particular instance, to prioritize ICE brutality over the American people. There's legislation that is available for Republicans to bring to the floor that would pass overwhelmingly to fund the entirety of the Department of Homeland Security, with the exception of ICE and the Trump extreme mass deportation machine, which has unleashed incredible, unspeakable brutality on the American people and on law-abiding immigrant families. Why have Republicans chosen to prioritize ICE brutality over the American people? When it's not that complicated, we should be paying TSA agents. Instead, Donald Trump and Republicans have sent ICE agents to airports all across the country. Watch this. ICE agents who are sitting around, standing up, doing nothing to address the airport crisis right now. ICE agents, however, at these very airports, doing nothing, are being paid. At the same period of time, TSA agents who are doing the work have been forced by Republicans to work without pay for more than 40 days. Why? Because Republicans have decided that they don't want to get ICE under control, and instead are forcing TSA agents to work without pay, inconveniencing millions of Americans all across the country and causing chaos at airports throughout the land. Unacceptable. Enough is enough. Republicans can simply bring a bill to the floor to reopen every other aspect of the Department of Homeland Security, pay ICE agents, support FEMA, stand up for the Coast Guard, and make sure that this country can continue to function. But instead, as we've repeatedly seen, Republicans have decided they'd rather jam your right-wing extreme ideology down the throats of the American people. We haven't been complicated in the point that we've made to our Republican colleagues about what needs to happen when it comes to ICE. We're standing on the side of the American people. Yes, we will always support securing the border, today, tomorrow, forever. But at the same period of time, immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, just, and humane. If you have something to say to me, you can say it right now. That's what I thought. Immigration enforcement in this country should be fair, it should be just, and it should be humane. But instead, you're unleashing brutality on the American people, using taxpayer dollars in some instances to kill American citizens, like Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, a nurse who was dedicating his life to be there for veterans who served this country. And we believe it. In America, taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them. To make life more affordable for the American people. And here's the thing. What we've put on the table, yes, we believe dramatic changes to ICE should be bold and transformational and meaningful. But there are also common sense changes, vastly supported by the American people. That includes ensuring that judicial warrants are required before masked ICE agents can storm the homes of the American people and rip them out of bed in the middle of the night. There should be independent investigations by state and local authorities so that ICE agents who violently break the law can be held accountable, just like every other American. We believe that ICE agents should be compelled to conduct themselves like every other cop, police officer, or law enforcement agency. That's not what's happening right now. We need an end to roving patrols that are violently targeting law-abiding immigrant families and brutalizing the American people. The masks need to come off. Body cameras need to come on. And yes, we also need to protect sensitive locations, like houses of worship, hospitals, schools, and polling sites. These are common sense reforms that at the same period of time are bold, meaningful, and transformational. They're designed to accomplish one chief objective: make sure that ICE conducts itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country, like every other cop, every other police officer, and every other state trooper. But that's not what's happening in this country right now. This Republican budget that is before us prioritizes ICE brutality over the American people. And that's why House Democrats are strongly opposed to it. And what's interesting, to make matters worse, because this is all about priorities and choices, and the choices that Republicans have made, the priorities that Republicans are emphasizing, are all hurting the American people, using taxpayer dollars to brutalize them, and at the same period of time, spending billions of dollars in a reckless war of choice in the Middle East, dropping bombs in the Middle East, but won't spend a dime to make life more affordable for everyday Americans. What kind of choice is that? That's where your priorities are, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. It's extraordinary to me. We think taxpayer dollars should be used to make life better for the American people. And there are a variety of ways to do it. We should be focused on that, because America is too expensive right now. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down, they've gone up. Housing costs, out of control. Health insurance premiums, out of control. Grocery bills, out of control. Child care costs, out of control. Utility bills, out of control. America is too expensive. And it's getting more expensive because of failed Republican policies. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down. Madam Speaker, in the United States of America, costs are going up. As a direct result of failed Republican policies, the Trump tariffs have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. Republicans have refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And as a result, more than 20 million Americans are experiencing dramatically increased health insurance premiums, making it unaffordable for everyday Americans, working class Americans, and middle class Americans to go see a doctor when they need one. That's policy violence that Republicans are inflicting on the American people. Republicans have launched a reckless war of choice in the Middle East, dropping bombs, spending billions of dollars. But you can't find a dime to make life more affordable for the American people. What kind of choice is that? And you continue to lean in to your one big ugly bill, which Democrats will continue to expose. Policy violence being inflicted on the American people. In that one big ugly bill, you ripped health care away from more than 14 million Americans. That's what Republicans have done. $1 trillion cut, largest cut to Medicaid in American history. You're choosing ICE brutality over the health care of the American people. At the same period of time, in that one big ugly bill, which every single Democrat in the House and the Senate opposed on behalf of the American people. In that one big ugly bill, Republicans cut nutritional assistance by $186 billion, largest cut to SNAP in American history. Republicans literally ripped food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans, and then turned around in that same bill and gave the Department of Homeland Security watch this, $191 billion, including creating a $75 billion slush fund for ICE to unleash brutality and violence on the American people, to kill, in at least 3 instances, American citizens, and to violently target law-abiding immigrant families. Policy violence that Republicans are inflicting on the American people. And then you present this budget in front of us today that again prioritizes ICE brutality over standing up and making life more affordable for the American people. These are challenging times that we're living through here in the United States of America. Republicans unleashing extremism and policy violence each and every day of this presidency. Challenging times in the United States of America, but help is on the way. And we're seeing that in elections all across the country, including most recently in the district where Mar-a-Lago sits. Help is on the way. And so our promise to the American people, we're going to fight as hard as we can. We're going to show up and stand up and speak up for the American people. We will lower the high cost of living. We will fix our broken healthcare system. We will clean up corruption. We will get ICE under control. We will stop this reckless war of choice in the Middle East. We will end this national nightmare. And one day soon, we will continue America's long, necessary, and majestic march toward a more perfect union. I yield back.
This moment stands out immediately because of the strategy behind it. The so-called magic minute isn't something you see used lightly. It allows House leadership to extend their speaking time beyond the usual strict limits, essentially taking control of the floor and the narrative. And that's exactly what Hakeem Jeffries does here. He doesn't just speak, he dominates the moment, stretching what began as a short allocation into a sustained, forceful argument. From the very beginning, Jeffries frames the issue in stark, unmistakable terms. He positions the Republican budget not just as flawed, but as actively harmful, accusing it of prioritizing immigration enforcement over the well-being of everyday Americans. That framing is deliberate. It simplifies a complex policy debate into a clear moral contrast: people versus policy, workers versus enforcement, affordability versus aggression. Whether viewers agree or not, the clarity of that framing makes it highly effective. What amplifies the impact is how he ties policy decisions directly to real-world consequences. Jeffries repeatedly brings the conversation back to TSA workers going unpaid, airport chaos, and rising costs of living. These are not abstract concerns. They're immediate, visible problems. By emphasizing that TSA agents are working without pay while other parts of the system continue to operate, he creates a sense of imbalance that's easy for viewers to grasp. It's a way of making the political feel personal. Another key element is repetition. Jeffries returns again and again to phrases like ICE brutality and costs are going up. This isn't accidental. It's rhetorical. As the speech progresses, Jeffries broadens the scope. What starts as a critique of DHS funding evolves into a sweeping indictment of broader Republican policies: healthcare, taxes, international spending, and economic conditions. This expansion is strategic. It connects the immediate issue to a larger repetition, escalation, and direct confrontation to build momentum. By the end, the speech feels less like a standard floor statement and more like a full-scale political message aimed beyond Congress, directly at the public. It's a reminder that in modern politics, moments like this aren't just about debate. They're about defining the narrative.